Welcome to another episode of the Market Makers of Iowa Real Estate podcast. In this podcast, we talk about strategy, insights, how other agents should work together with other agents. The reason I started this podcast is simply because I get tired of people talking trash about other agents, other realtors in the industry. And I just don't think that that is a good practice, a good way to work with, quite frankly, someone that's kind of a coworker. Because if you have a bad transaction, you have a bad experience with an agent on the other side when you're closing a deal, you absolutely have a harder time and quite frankly, make less money, even though it might be the same commission amount. You make less money when you have to work harder because the agent on the other side is bad or really just doesn't know what they're doing. So I want to create, and that's why I created this podcast, a way for agents to share with other agents what they expect out of other agents. Lenders the same way. What do agents expect out of lenders and what do lenders expect out of agents? And don't get me wrong. I understand that everyone can run their business their own way. I am full-blown, full-bred capitalist at heart. Do not get that wrong. Everyone can run their business their own way. But I believe that if it's ran efficiently and effectively, you're going to make more money, even though there isn't like a standard protocol of what you should do. You're going to make more money, you're going to spend less time, and you're going to have an overall better business. I'm your host, Darson Grantham, and on this episode, we have Jeff Johnston joining us. Jeff is a newer agent. Last couple of years, he got a license, and he works on a team at RE/MAX Concepts. I'm excited to have Jeff on simply because I want to hear from, I don't know his story, and he's probably the first one that's coming on that I just don't know very much about his story, except that I was first introduced to him when he started investing in real estate. So I was also investing in real estate before I became an agent, and he's someone that I was introduced to as an investor. So I'm excited to hear what he's doing as a real estate agent, how he has transitioned into as being a real estate agent on a team, what he's found that he's struggling with, what he has success or has suggestions for newer agents, and how he recommends other agents to work together to better equip their business for an easier and better transaction. So let's get in the episode with Jeff. That's good.
Love it. Welcome, everybody.
That's why we have 3 cameras. Cool. Ready to get started?
Sure. Let's go. Let's go.
Okay, Jeff, thanks for coming on the podcast. I appreciate you spending the time to join us. Give us, 60 seconds to a minute or 60 seconds to 2 minutes on generally where were you at before real estate, and then currently where are you at in real estate?
Sure. Thanks for having me, Darson. I definitely appreciate it. Before real estate, I was in the corporate world like a lot of folks.
Nice.
Yeah. Working for a large bank company.
Sounds good.
Had a couple of different jobs there. It was about 2012, 2013. Real estate itch kind of started hitting me. So I was really looking into investment properties, bought a rental, at that time. I call that my second time going through college, basically, because there was mistakes and they were not cheap.
In the 2012, 13.
I bought it in 2013. Yeah. I bought it, near Drake University.
Awesome.
And just continued in my career in the corporate world, ended up getting onto the mortgage side of that and finance. And then one day I just said, I'm done. I broke out and I started just trying to be just on the investing side. Yeah. So I didn't get a real estate license.
I feel like that's when we met. We met very early on.
We did.
And crappy property in Ankeny.
And that was a fun one. Because I don't know if you remember, we had a little smoke coming out of the walls.
Oh yeah. Yep.
There was an electrical fire. I think that was getting ready to start when I got there. So that was a great way to meet you. Felt like a KISS concert. You're trying to welcome me with some flames and stuff. So
it smelled good too.
Yeah. So I went that route. I was flipping some homes, still looking for investment properties, and then I needed more steady income.
Yep. Was that you or the wife?
Yes. It was both of us. So that's when I went and got my license.
Cool. What year was that?
I've been licensed now for about 2 years.
Okay, cool.
So I'm up
just
for renewal this year.
Yeah.
Yep.
So as you came from corporate, did the investor, how many years did you do just try to real estate investing? Like, what did that look like?
That was about 2.5 years.
2.5 years.
And of course, that was middle of 2019. I left the corporate world.
Yep.
So guess what happened about 6 months later?
Yep.
And that kind of threw a wrench in things as well.
Do you think it hurt your investor plans?
A little bit, yes.
Because properties cost too much?
Yes, they started going well, and then the cost of materials, everything started going up.
Were you flipping or buying long-term rentals?
At that point, it was pretty much all flipping. I was looking for rentals.
Yeah.
And I mean, I did several flips. Some of them turned out better than others.
Yeah.
But that's when I was like, okay, I need some other income as well.
Did you ever consider going back to the corporate?
No, not really. Not really. It can be kind of draining.
Yeah.
You know?
No, absolutely. I was fired twice from the corporate. So
congratulations.
I was like, I just need to not do this again.
No, I totally get it. I totally get it. And I'm not talking down to anybody who does it, because we need all that stuff, right?
Yeah.
But it's just some people.
Well, I think the audience that we're talking to is probably a lot of just agents and lenders anyway. So honestly, the general public, you're not listening to this, to be real candid, but there are corporate jobs that fit people really well, or people that fit corporate jobs really well. There's no question. There's also people that are in corporate that should not be, but they are tied because of X, Y, Z, right? And I get it. They wanted the stable, right? They were willing to put up with the crap to do the stable. You decided to, hey, I don't want to do the corporate. Let's be a real estate agent to be stable.
Exactly.
So tell us, how did you decide? I guess, did you come on the team you're at? Did you come on solo, or how did that decision go?
No, I started with a different brokerage. I was with them about 8 or 9 months. That's when I moved to the Torres team with Remax Concepts after that, because they had been working with me when I've been buying my flips, buying and selling them. So I had a good relationship with them, for many years. Yeah. So it just kind of felt natural. Yeah.
Yep. So I've been doing that for a couple of years now. Awesome. When you work with other agents, because you were an investor, you've seen how agents work when you're not an agent. Yep. Right. And then as an agent, what do you love about other agents when they work with you? Like, what have you noticed that you're like, I want to duplicate what they're doing? What's that look like?
Communication is always number one thing for me. I try and be communicative. Is that a word? Yep. With everybody involved, but when other agents, they're really responsive and they just communicate where everything is, I love it. Yeah. I feel like even if there's an issue, if it's been communicated with you, okay, we'll find a way through it. This isn't rocket science. It's not brain surgery. We can find ways, to fix whatever issue there is.
I've always said it's just managing communication. Like if you just manage the communication that you have, like very few things turn into fires.
Correct.
It's easier said than done. How does being on a team help you do that? Or have you, what resources do they have that you're like, oh man, this is amazing?
Well, I truly feel like we have a true team aspect. There's nobody, elbowing anybody out of the way. I was out of town this Friday or this previous Friday, and an agent on our team, there was no problem for them to show a buyer of mine a home. That's awesome. So, and it's just, they're not expecting you to buy them a car for doing anything like that. It's just, it really does feel like a team working together for the same goal.
What about the communication side? How does the team help? Or obviously all teams are different, and we've had podcasts and people on about that, but so communicating wise, how much are you involved? How much do you hand off to the team, and how's that impacted your business?
Well, we have a lot of help. We have a lot of, we have transaction coordinator. We have several different folks in the office that help. So that helps me a lot. If we have listings, they kind of handle some of the communication with that. So we just know, or I know, I don't have to worry about anything slipping through the cracks. Obviously, because of my personality, I probably still do more than maybe I should. And I hope I don't annoy anybody at the office. I apologize if I do, but maybe I need to learn to allow that to happen. But no, they do a great job, and I can sleep a little easier at night just because I'm not thinking, did I call did we do this? Did we do that?
Yep.
It just stress reliever.
How about aside from communication, what else is it about other agents that you love to? How do you love doing business with?
I like a lot of the detail oriented folks that they really take their time, and when a purchase agreement comes in or other documents come in, everything's signed. And
you mean it's filled out properly?
Yes. Now there is a lot of blanks and stuff in there that we have to look at, right? And sometimes
that's not. You're being too nice. That's not an excuse.
And I know
which ones are blank, like we all do.
Yeah. But I do appreciate when folks are really diligent about getting things done and getting it done right. Because that means they're probably doing the right thing for their client too. They're thinking about what's going on.
Yeah, absolutely. What else? How about with the lender process? This is also a lot of lenders will be watching this and listening to it. What is it the best thing that you like about lenders, that like lenders and agents work together? What have you seen successful?
I love lenders that don't necessarily look down on agents. And what I mean by that is I really like the details of it. I'm like, oh, so this loan program doesn't work, but this one does,
Yeah.
Then I have, down the road, I can use that with other potential buyers. And, so-and-so over here down the street, they've got this program that'll work great for you, even though this bank or credit union, you're not approved.
Okay.
Yeah. So I just love to get that knowledge base from as many different lenders as possible. And there are a lot of good programs out there. It's I want them to communicate that out to everybody. Yeah. If you're listening, let everybody know the programs you've got.
Yeah, a lot of them think that it's annoying or they don't want to be spammy, but if it's actually educating,
yes,
and you can say, hey, this is the type of buyer, because all of us agents have a pipeline of people in our database that might not quite be pre-approved or they're getting pre-approved, but they have a certain scenario.
Yep.
And if you give us a loan product, not just a stupid fact sheet or a detail sheet, like an actual, some more information about it, and say, hey, this is the type of buyer that would be perfect for this loan. I met with a guy the other day. I'm not going to say it because I'm going to have him on here shortly, but he's like, we'll beat anyone's rate at over 450. And anyone. And he's like, it's just how we have our loan products. Everybody knows it, but no one advertises it. And I was like, how is that? I mean, okay. But he gave me the perfect, he goes, in the metro, he goes, over 450 will beat the rate on anyone. Okay. And I was like, interesting. So just knowing that's their niche, that's their thing.
Yep.
I had Matthew Carmody on a couple episodes ago, and he said self-employed people, he goes,
yes.
I'm really good at it. He goes, I don't give up. I know exactly what they need to do. If they can't do it, I'll tell them exactly the things they need to do it.
Perfect.
He goes, it's my thing. I just know it so well. So anyway.
And that's a good thing to know. I happen to have a buyer who's in that situation, but statistically, let me spit that out. Over the last few years, there's been more self-employment going on in a variety of different industries. So it may have been a lot smaller. I mean, it's still not the biggest thing ever, but it's more prominent. So information like that is great to have.
Yeah, the gig work, the side business, side hustle, creatives, right?
Absolutely.
It's just growing so much. And we, as being Des Moines, it's really tough to get the data on that because we're kind of third fiddle, but you have to look at the national trends. And as national trends change, Des Moines, that it's big enough to trend the same way the national is when it comes to jobs and stuff. Okay, so one of the questions I like to ask is, how relevant do you think it is to be liked in the industry by your coworkers, by other realtors, in making sure your clients are getting the best service?
Liked, okay.
Yeah.
Liked and respected are different. Yeah. I feel like if you do things properly, you can get both.
Yeah.
They're humans, right? We're humans. Treat them like a human, right? So that doesn't mean, even if our clients may have some different types of demands, just be tactful with how you approach it. And I've had to have a couple conversations, just that's probably not going to fly. Here's what I'm thinking of saying, and most of the time it ends up okay. But yeah, treating them properly, that's going to go a long way. My personality, I probably like to be liked. And I guess that's probably how I treat folks. And, yeah.
Yeah. The liked and respected thing, it's super fascinating to me because like you get good results from other realtors if you're respected. Like there's no question there. But when you're liked, there's just that extra thing, like the extra, if there's multiple offers. If I'm looking for a buyer client, I see XYZ listed a property, I'm like, absolutely, this is going to be great. Like they're going to provide all the details. It's going to be great communication. Let's go. And then vice versa. Yep. The agent that might not have all their stuff together. Like I absolutely have told clients, hey, this is going to be a rough ride. Hang on.
Potentially.
Or we don't do it.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and sometimes it may not be the agent, potentially their client.
Oh, absolutely.
Could have some odd demands, and
one-off stuff is not what I'm talking about. I agree completely. Yeah. And that's just, as agents working together, like I think it's important, in my opinion, for us to realize that and talk through that with other agents of like, hey, everything you're saying is great, but like, what are we actually seeing in the marketplace? And with the trends of realtors getting out of the business, new realtors coming in, because most people don't know this. We haven't went down the number of agents in the Des Moines Metro, like a significant amount at all, like not anything over the last couple of years. And most people are like, well, I mean, we see people leaving the business all the time.
Yeah.
Well, there's new agents joining because they see the opportunity. And then your current agents in the business are blind to the opportunity at times.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me get to my questions. Do you have, I guess off topic, or what did you bring over there? Is it relevant for agents and lenders?
Well, I have some questions for a lender.
Okay.
Maybe they can help me out here.
Yeah, let's go. So
do we want to go down that road?
Jeff,
I'm a nerd. Okay.
Yes.
So I was in data
You're
and
data
finance.
nerd. Okay.
And so I think about weird things.
Why did you become a realtor instead of a lender then?
I don't know.
I was just curious.
I don't know.
Maybe you could do both.
I guess I was going to say I love being with people. I love helping people. Real estate is just a big passion of mine, and I could probably talk about it for hours. And I suppose being a lender, I could get the same thing, but I love going through houses. Yeah. I love going and looking and see what everybody's got. How like decorations, the way, just the setup, colors, all that. Yep. I love it.
You like that stuff. Fascinating.
Yeah. I'm different.
No, that's probably what a realtor should be. I'm the opposite. Like the colors and stuff. I'm like, I don't know what looks good. I guess when you see it, you know that it looks good.
Yeah. I'm not going to be the design guy or anything like that. When I was flipping homes more, Jessica, my wife, she was the one who got the colors put together. I'm like, okay, I'll go with that. It looks good.
Yeah.
It looks good.
Okay. So you brought some information for, tell me what you prepped for, because I didn't give you any information to prep. So let's hear it. Let's go.
Like I said, I'm a nerd. So everybody talks about high interest rates and that being a thing. They're compared to what we've seen the last several years, interest rates feel high, but if you look historically, they're not. Right? They're not.
How do you get a buyer to understand that?
If they're older than 45, maybe, I don't know. And I'm not denigrating anybody young either. It's just, that's what they grew up with. So that's their expectation. Yeah. That's just what they're used to. Right. Just education, I guess, is the best way you can go about it. And I don't like saying this, but marry the house, date the rate. Yeah. It sounds cheesy, but we'll get there again. Maybe not 3%, but, so anyway, one of the things I was looking at with regards to rates, I've been kind of tracking it for a while. The spread between the 30-year mortgage and the 10-year treasury historically, I got to get the exact number here. It's around 1.75% roughly. That's what the trend has been. And then I started looking from year 2000, because I'm going to start calling that our low interest rate regime. That's when things.
Yep.
So basically the last 24 years haven't been normal in the grand scheme of things. If you just look at the last 24 years, the spread between those two rates has bumped up to 1.86%. So 1971 through 2000, that spread was 1.65%. Sorry, I'm cutting out there. So even though rates have gotten lower over that time, that spread's gotten bigger. So lenders, are you guys pocketing that, or where's that going? That's one question I have. But right now, as we look today, yesterday when the market closed, the 10-year Treasury was 4.45%, and the 30-year mortgage was 6.99%. Now I'm getting these numbers like from Freddie Mac.
Yep.
So that's not what you're going to get locally, but that's the basis I've been going with. So that spread is 2.54%, 254 basis points. So in reality, we need to come down about 68 basis points to get to a normal spread, which would make your rates 6.3% roughly.
Yep.
And then, locally it would actually be probably closer to 5, I would think, or just below 6.
Just below 6.
I mean, having a 5 handle on there.
Yep. So what I've heard the reason for this, have you like researched, like what do you think is the reason?
So I've asked a couple of lenders and I didn't.
They don't know.
No.
Lenders are not the people to ask for this.
Yeah. And my thought, because
normal lenders, sorry for the lenders out there that actually know the answer. Normal lenders are not the people to ask for this.
I have a chart out here that shows when spreads have gotten big, there's recessions. Right?
Did you enter all of that yourself, or did you go research it and find it?
I entered a lot of the data myself. I found it, but and just brought it together. And when you can see spikes, there's recessions, COVID, COVID/recession. Early 80s, the same thing happened. We were fighting inflation.
Yep.
Guess what we're fighting right now?
Yeah, inflation. Yep.
And there's a couple other bumps in here where there's like some uncertainty going on. Like one of them I looked at, and it was, so I was alive and I was in the corporate world during this, but like we narrowly avoided a government shutdown in like 2000.
That's every year now, Jeff.
Yeah.
Easy now.
But this was the first time it happened. So you could see interest rates spike up.
Yeah.
And I was looking also at that time, I was like, the unemployment rate was 9% it was like 2011. And that was actually on a downward trajectory at that point, believe it or not. So there's times of fear. So I don't know if it's the lender's side, just
they're buffering. Yeah. That's what I've always been told is, so the reason the spread is different. And most people can't catch. I listen to enough like economic stuff, and like I really love that. I would at some point I would love to hear an economics of Iowa podcast.
That would be awesome.
Like what is going on with the government? What is going on with all the city? Like just the economics, the businesses, and whatnot.
Yep.
If there's one out there, let me know. I think I've listened to a few, and they're not what I'm looking for.
Okay,
let's put it that way. But my point in that is just like the spread that they're buffering the risk. And so they need to make that because I would imagine, fear. The average is the 1.7, but when there is an upward trend in the economy, it's probably closer to 1.4 or 1.5, right? Because then it's the average.
Yep.
So that's what I've been told. That's all the research that I've done.
Okay.
And that's another point in the fact that we don't need the Fed to decrease rates.
Right.
In order for mortgage rates to go down.
Yeah.
They haven't decreased since August or September.
They haven't, the Fed?
Yeah.
They haven't lowered rates they
stopped raising rates.
Yeah, stopped raising.
In August, September. Mm-hmm. And so like that, they don't need to lower. I mean, we want them to lower. We want them. Like we think as realtors, we want this. Yeah. It would be good, but there is a charge in the credit card.
Yeah.
Type thing.
Yep. Then there's different things that pop up.
Very much a ripple effect on that. And that kind of goes to like what, the reason I say that we don't know if we really want rates to go down and to have more buyers on the market, because the number of transactions is still pretty good, right? Do you track that at all? Oh yeah. Number of transactions. Let's go, Jeff.
So I've got here like the historic count of active listings.
Okay.
This is Des Moines.
Yep.
area specific. So I went
DMAR data.
I went in the MLS and I went Adel to Winterset.
Yep.
That was my.
So you didn't just do DMAR.
It was just Adel through Winterset.
Okay, so you did a square.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Because that's different. Because there's a lot. I mean, there's a lot of sporadic, not a lot, but enough sporadic outside of that parameter that comes onto DMAR that.
So it's truly what I would consider the Des Moines metro. It's not going to collect.
No Ames.
Not going to collect Denison. It's not going to collect.
Marshalltown.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
So you can see the trend line with the active listings here. And so this is back 10 years. January 2014, we were up over 8,000 listings at one point in 2014. Each year, we still get our seasonality spikes like you would expect with the active listings. But if you drew a trend line, it's been going down over the years.
Yep.
I don't know if that's because of, it's been a low interest rate environment and people think, well, I'm going to lock in, but the rates continued to go down.
Yeah.
So I don't know for sure why the number of listings have continued.
I don't think that, we've kind of, if you've listened to anyone talk about real estate nationally, like there's multiple reasons.
Well,
you know what I mean? Don't you think like there's, they don't want to sell because of the interest rates.
Yep.
And they want to keep their low interest rate.
Yeah.
I've seen in my business, people have the conversations of, okay, we've waited 2 years. We're over the interest rate, wait for it to come up because we're just going to get rid of our 3%, even though it sucks, or we'll keep it as a rental.
Yep.
Like I run a short-term rental business and a management business, and we get, a couple calls a month at least from people. They're like, well, I don't really want to sell. Can I short-term rent it? Most of the times it doesn't make sense, but a lot of them are considering it.
Sure. And I'm not even talking about just the last 2 or 3 years, like going back over the 10-year period. There's just the trends are like lower active listings. Now, what you said with the transactions, the number of sales, they've been fairly steady.
Oh, that's interesting.
They've been fairly steady. There was a pickup, then it went down, and now it's going back up. So when you talk about the inventory issue, there's less active listings, but we're still selling a fairly steady amount of homes. Yeah, so that's going to impact prices.
Yeah. I think what nationally was the largest number of transactions was that 06 or 07, I think.
That sounds about right.
Yeah. And so the fact that we didn't even hit that, right, in the 2020, 21, 22 era.
Right.
That's bonkers.
If stuff would have been for sale, I bet it would have.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah. So there's some psychology there.
Yeah. I don't know. How can what do realtors and lenders, what can they take away from that to educate their clients, or like how have you used that and educated your clients?
Well, I think part of that, people are like, oh, but these prices are so high. Well, there's still less homes for sale than what we would consider normal, but people are still buying.
Yeah.
Maybe there'd be more if there was more for sale, but there's still going to be divorces.
Yeah, the DDDs, 5Ds or whatever.
5Ds, yeah. All that's a thing.
For those of you, it's divorce, degrees, death,
diapers,
birth. What's the fifth one?
I should have wrote that down.
I know.
Divorce, diamonds,
marriage,
engagement, engagement, getting married. So
there you go.
All that stuff's life is going to continue to happen. So people will buy houses.
Yeah. The other thing that I talk about with my clients is our cost of living here is much lower than other parts of the country.
Yep.
And although we feel like the housing prices are high, if you compare that to other cities that have similar salary, like household incomes, we still are a much more affordable place to live.
Yes. Housing
wise, even with our higher property taxes that everyone, complains about. Like, don't get me wrong, I don't want high property taxes, but in general, it's cheaper to live here.
Yep.
And so if you think the higher cost of living areas are going to grow and we're not, or you think they're going to go down, those people are going somewhere. They're going to go to the lower cost of living areas. And I think we see that a lot with Des Moines. What is it? A couple years ago, it was 36 people a year moved to Des Moines. Now I think it's 25 or 26 from the Des Moines partnership, but a 2023 stat. But still, there's a lot of people moving to the Des Moines Metro.
Yeah. Yep. And not just moving here, but we are attracting out-of-state investors. Out-of-state investors are definitely, I'm getting calls from folks, California. I have a gentleman from New York that it'll be his third property I've sold.
Yeah.
That was here. So I know that's something that
It's
they're thinking about.
Out of state is 30% of my business.
Is it that
I do
much?
a boatload of out of state. Yeah. Okay. So it's very, very familiar. Like,
okay. So you know,
I know it's I say rampant. What I always try to preface is like, don't California or Iowa, right? Like let's ease on who's coming, that's what you're doing. Yeah. So
let me ask you a question.
Go ahead.
This
will be the first one, by the way.
Here we go. How did you get, how did they call you? I mean, how did they get in contact with you or find out about you?
Yeah. So lead stuff. I could go a whole podcast on this. I love marketing more than I love real estate. Like,
okay.
I love it. So Bigger Pockets is a website. Yep. This is a secret, so don't tell anybody. And I started commenting on that website before I was an agent, like 3 years before I was an agent. So I basically comment on everything about Des Moines, educate people that were looking to buy in Des Moines. It's an investor friendly website. And so that is the main source of my out of state. Also, I have keywords on the website, I have keywords on Google, keywords, YouTube channel, focus for investors and out of state buyers, relocating. So, that'd be the way. But it's not just one thing that pushes all of that. It's it's me, but I mean, I hear it from people, others in the office, like all the time. We are on that Facebook group, the realtors Facebook group. And if you're not on it and you're a realtor, join it. If you're a lender, I don't think you can, but if you're a realtor, jump on it. It's absolutely an amazing place to hear what other agents in the market are doing. But they'll say, buyers flying in for the weekend. I've got one flying in from Texas Thursday, and they're going to buy a new build, 400 cash. I'm like, okay, they came retired rocket scientist. He's super smart dude. They're the best. The researchers, in my opinion, are my best clients because they've done all the research. Yeah. I don't really need to guide them on a whole lot besides get the property that they want because they've done all that research. Yeah. So how about you? How'd you get your out of state investors or out of state clients?
Cold calling.
Yeah.
I did a search on Polk County Assessor, and I just looked for folks who lived out of state but owned property locally. We had actually sent out a lot of postcards to folks. Didn't get a great response rate on that, but then I just started cold calling. Had a few good conversations. That was definitely a new thing for me. As you can tell, I'm not, or from my background, I'm not a sales type person. Yeah. That's not how I've been. So the first few conversations I had with folks, I actually wish maybe I can call them back because some of the stuff I was asking, I sounded pretty funny. Guy basically hung up on me because he probably thought I was like 20 years old and had never dealt with anybody before. But you learn from all those interactions.
Who triggered, like who pushed you to do that? Or like, how did you decide that? I met with a realtor this morning. We had coffee and she's like, I'm doing this, and this, but I just don't know what else to do to get leads. And I'm like, I have a whole spreadsheet of things I wish I could do to get leads because I just don't have the time to do it. So like, what do you...
I picked that up. I thought somebody on Bigger Pockets, one of their podcasts, had mentioned that before. So I'm like, I'm going to give that a try. It was good. Like I said, I learned a lot. A couple of folks I'm still keeping in contact with. So we'll see how that goes. And then I had the listings and ended up getting a couple of calls from folks in California, looking for things. We all do. If you list in Iowa, you get calls from California. Yeah. So no, it was good. And I was just like, you know what, I'm going to give that a try because I wanted to try and drum some stuff up. And
What else have you done for lead gen type stuff? Like, what's it look like?
I've done a lot of open houses. Haven't got a lot that way.
Not for what you feel like the time you invested.
Absolutely. Because there's been a lot of time invested in that, but that's okay. I'll continue to do it. Just get your name out there.
Have you been twisting, like changing how you're doing them? Have you like
Yes.
Yeah, because I don't do open houses. I do not work on Sundays. Try really hard not to. So like it's not been a lead source for me, but I see people that do it really well, and they're like they do like we had a gal in our office. She capped in 1 year, so she sold $2 million in business. Never met anyone here. Only open houses and door knocking.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
And door knocking.
I've done that.
So.
I've done that as well. But no, with the open houses, I've been trying to do some different times and days even. And if it's the fall, I look, okay, when do Iowa State play football? And if I'm going to do one on a Saturday, I try to avoid that time.
Yeah.
And I'll try and do stuff on Thursday nights, but depending on the time of the year, is there a Thursday night NFL game? Is there a big Major League Baseball, something like
absolutely.
that? It sounds
You're competing
weird
against the events. No,
there's that.
That's
and
attention.
Then I know, like, I coach soccer as well, and that season for the most part is done. So I know there's not going to be parents and families having to go to practices and games and stuff on Thursdays or even on the weekends now. Mm-hmm. So now that kind of opens up some time for folks. I mean, they still may have other activities, but psychologically I try and figure out, when are people going to be available. And if I do some on Sundays, it may not be 1 to 3, it may be 4 to 6, 2 to 4, just trying some different things and seeing if it works.
Cool. That's awesome. How about your database? How much do you communicate with them? What's that look like?
So we do have a CRM that we have. Yeah. And so there's a lot of like automated stuff that happens.
Yep.
But I like to put a lot of my own tasks on there so I can kind of see what's going on with the folks. If they're looking at anything, opening anything, then I do try and make quite a few calls a week. I don't know what the average would be for a local realtor,
but it's low.
Okay. I try to do 15 to 20 a day. That's my goal.
Yeah, you're absolutely, I mean, not to pump your ego. That's high for the average realtor.
Well, yeah. And I guess I shouldn't say that's calls. That would be, even just a text
reaching
message to somebody.
Contacts.
Yeah, somehow. I mean, I haven't forgotten about you.
Yeah.
And so, try and do that. A lot of sphere type stuff.
Yeah.
When, I post on Facebook, like if I'm doing an open house, get some responses on that. Or I have a YouTube channel. I'll post just some horribly edited videos on, and just, what are people looking for in a house, or in a basement? What do you need in your neighborhood? Mm-hmm. Things like that. It just, even if it doesn't have somebody buy the place, they can see a different
something.
House.
Yep. It's the touch thing. The 7 touches gets and I mean, I think I say this on every podcast. The best realtor never earns the business. And most people are like, that's terrible. I'm like, I'm just telling you, it's the truth. The best realtor does not win. They don't get the business. The most known, liked, seen gets the business, because we all deal with we just all see that. There's no question about it. So that's why what you're doing, it matters and it's impactful. Is there any new lead systems or new things that you want to share with other realtors that are in the same market, that like you would love to do, or you're kind of thinking about doing in the future?
I don't know a whole lot about Instagram. I'm kind of learning that. I guess that's just another way, kind of like what I was saying before with, a YouTube channel, just getting out there more, getting recognized more. Cause there are a couple folks locally that, as I don't want to call it doom scroll, but occasionally
you see them.
You look through and you see them, and they do some kind of unique stuff. I can't remember who the agent is, but she does a really good job. Like, what can you get for $375,000 in Grimes or whatever?
Yeah.
Does a quick tour of the home. I love it. I think that's a great idea.
Yeah.
That gives people some ideas and some details.
Yeah. It's a simple thing to do.
Yeah.
But and you do that on Facebook, you can do it on Instagram, you can do it on YouTube, you can do it on TikTok.
Yeah.
You can do it all the way.
So I've not got a TikTok account.
It's okay.
I've stayed away from that.
You don't have to be successful in real estate. Have TikTok.
Okay. Because I don't want to dance.
That was 10 years ago, but I still don't. My story is I did all of those things heavily in 2022 and I got no sales from them. Okay. And I was like, I'm focusing on things that are tried and true and that I see as working. So I just went back to the Google, YouTube, Facebook and website.
Yep.
And like I literally like my Instagram and my TikTok is like it's super sporadic.
Sure.
Not focused at all.
Sure.
So there's many ways. There's so many ways to do it.
So with our team, that's something we do. We have Facebook ad, reach out, that way with all the Google, so we have all that. And then
you have leads coming in and then you get
yes,
it like, you're in a lead pool or whatever, and you get to try to
so that's
earn
where
that business.
Yep. And had a little bit of success with that. I mean, probably about what you would think would be an average for that.
Yeah.
So, but that's one thing, like I said, I've done the door knocking thing.
Why'd you stop? I'm curious.
Well, I will do it again. So it's been sporadic.
Yeah.
I've probably hit, I don't know, 300 or 400 doors probably. Just, so I went like 3 or 4 different times.
Yeah.
But
Same neighborhood?
No.
So have you heard of farming a neighborhood?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that would be my recommendation, to do it
Yeah.
one place quarterly.
Yeah. When I had first started, when I was selling listings, after I would sell the listing, I would go into that neighborhood like, hey, we sold this and whatever days, and we got the asking price, and just leave a little information behind. And if nothing else, just talk with them.
Did you see results from that, getting listings, or?
No.
Nothing trackable.
I do have someone that I know, they still live in the place, and this was a while back, but he's like, yeah, if we sell, I'm calling you.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Because I've even seen him here recently.
That's
so
fun.
He's like, yeah, we still live here. We haven't moved. Don't worry. So I'm hoping to get some results from that. And sometimes, like I did it just in my immediate neighborhood, just, hey, everybody, I'm a realtor.
Yep.
But a lot of folks have relationships already, like relatives, and
that goes back to they're not the best realtor.
I'm not saying anything. No,
I am.
So there's already some relationships embedded in there. So, and I get it. I mean, you want to be able to eat Thanksgiving dinner with somebody, without arguments. So
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah.
I get it.
Cool. What's a disadvantage that you had when you started in the market, started as a realtor?
I think it's something I still have. It's just like the salesperson type mentality. Maybe I could have had several more deals over time, but I don't know. I don't know how to explain that properly. I don't want to say he doesn't have that killer instinct or something like that, but it's just, maybe my approach is just a little more, that's okay. You got to be ready. Cause I don't want to have on my conscience, I forced somebody to buy a $250,000 house when they should have bought $175,000, and all the stuff goes bad. I do try and educate everybody as much as possible. With the investing background, with the flipping, if I'm going through a house with somebody, we see a crack in the foundation, I'm like, you don't have to worry about that one.
Yeah.
Now, then we go to the next house. That's the one you have to worry. Things like that. I like to try and educate folks, and just so they know what's going on, and they have to make the decision, but I try and help. Yeah.
What's an advantage you have when you came into the market?
I think with the investing background, just seeing a lot of houses, and seeing them in a lot of different stages. I mean, with the flipping, I've seen them really bad, and when they're done, how good they can look, but it's also the process on how it got there. So we can go through a house that may have been redone. Was it permitted?
Yeah.
Things like that. Was it done properly? I try, if I can, to make sure that stuff was done properly, because I don't want it on my conscience that the house started on fire because there wasn't an electrical permit. Somebody did it and didn't do it properly.
Yeah. Yeah, that's absolutely. If you had to give agents advice right now, like just whether it's a seasoned agent or a newer agent, like what would you love for them to all hear and just take in?
I guess keep after it, keep positive, I mean, we're all going to run into some bad days. And I feel like with being a realtor, being an agent, the emotions that you can get in one day are just ridiculous. you can wake up and you have these 3 text messages and like, today's going to be a good day. And then you find out your deal fell through about 20 minutes later and you're, just,
Yeah,
I mean, it's just such a roller coaster. And I think maybe with our mentality, we can kind of handle that, but just keep at it, man. Just
how do you keep on a level playing field with those things? Like, what do you do? And do you tell your spouse?
She could probably pass the realtor exam with everything I've said. And so Jessica, I apologize. And she listens. I think she shakes her head yes every once in a while, but that helps me vent. I don't hang up the phone and curse, for 30 minutes.
Do you work from home quite a bit?
Yeah, probably 60%.
Yeah.
Yeah, 60-65%. But I've learned over the years. I'm making it sound like I'm 95 years old, but
I don't even see gray hair.
Thank you. Things are going to happen. Just stay calm. Because when you start freaking out, you start going ballistic, that's when even more bad decisions get made. As you can tell, I'm analytical.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, well, that's not going to work. What about these 2 or 3 things? Is that an option? And that's how I tell myself that it can work.
Absolutely.
So I just try and even keel.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thanks for joining us on the podcast. I appreciate it very much. Is there any, could anyone follow you, or do you have any socials any reasons agents would want to reach out?
I have on Instagram.
Yeah.
You have on my YouTube channel, it's Johnston Family Investments. That's the name of our LLC that I picked up. I have a Twitter account. I have on Instagram, it's IA Real Estate Guy.
Yeah.
It's maybe I can get that to you and we can
put it up there. Yeah, absolutely. And I'd say, if you're open to any realtors that want to try to understand what investors are thinking and how they think and what they do, reach out to you. And I would imagine you'll sit down, grab coffee with them and kind of explain that process. I'm
totally good with that.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, I appreciate your time today.
Appreciate it, Darson. Nice seeing you again.
Thank you. We're good, bud. Thank you.
Awesome.